Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD Don't Trade on Us, free ebook How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port Don't Trade on Us for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom. We look at Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. Second hour, the hour about guns. Let me tell you something. More I look around the world, more I realize that we are living in a country, and more important, I say in a state, because, even our country, this United States, some states, they're horrible. I mean, look at California, look at New York, look at even the state, district of, D.C., district of criminals, Washington, D.C. I mean, it's like living in another country. But at least on paper here, we have a federal constitution with a Bill of Rights. They should be pretty black and white. And it is in many states. Like, for example, in Arizona, where I live. Sometimes I forget. I mean, I never forget, really, but I never can appreciate enough the opportunity and the rights that I have when it comes down to the Second Amendment. I can buy a gun like I buy a pair of shoes. No waiting time. I can buy a rifle. I can buy pretty much everything I want. I can carry without permit. Long or handgun, doesn't matter. Concealed or open, doesn't matter. Of course, there's some state laws. Of course, we have to comply with some federal laws when it comes down to some places. But in general, in our state, it's like what America is supposed to be. Now, more I learn about other countries, forget about Europe. Last Sunday, I had on the show my friend from Italy, El Tenda, with his YouTube channel, originally from Venice. He reminded me how terrible in Italy things are. But it's not just Italy. Look in Sweden, look in Germany, look in almost all Europe. But right now I'm focusing on Canada. Why? Because pretty much our next door. I mean, it's our brothers from up there in north, and you think maybe, hey, North America, we're still there the same. No, unfortunately, I see that how this trend to destroy people's rights coming, especially for the First and more important, the Second Amendment, it's happening everywhere. And I really believe why. Because the globalists have an agenda to destroy freedom of us, we the people. And how do you destroy freedom? How can you pretty much tell them what to do, what they can say, what they cannot say? You need to take every type of meaning to defend themselves. That's the way the globalists work. They want to disarm you first, then they will take everything you own, starting from your freedom and freedom of speech. But now I have a friend that I had him on the show a couple of months ago, and is a former military from the Canadian Army. And hopefully I didn't say wrong. But anyway, I will bring him back right now. And today I want to focus mostly on what's going on right now in Canada for a law-abiding person, for a citizen, for a person who's supposed to have the right to keep and bear arms. But do they really have that right? And especially with the new administration, with Mr. Trudeau, that is pretty much, a whitewash Obama. I mean, Obama, it's like brownish. This guy, it's a white Obama, wannabe Obama, another serf of the globalists, another destroyer, of the rights of the people. Let me bring my friend Tyrssen. Tyrssen from British Columbia, Vancouver. Are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
All right, man. Good to meet you again. I mean, good to talk to you again. And first of all, I want to say, remind me exactly, because, I don't want to distort. You were in the Royal, is there even a Royal Army up there? Is the Crown Army? What you were serving? I'm not,
Canadian Armed Forces.
Canadian Armed Forces.
Yeah. Well,
So there's no royal there. I mean, is there royal something?
not for the Army, no.
Not for the Army.
The Air Force, yes, and Navy, but you don't see that word in the Canadian Army.
Okay, good. At least that.
It's our army around World War One was mostly composed of militias, like what you guys got.
Yes. So you.
Yeah, they were just basically incorporated into a single national force, and so that's why that word wasn't in there.
I see. So anyway, but I was looking at, by the way, some videos of you also coming back from. I mean, I don't know if it was you, but I saw people coming back from Afghanistan overseas. I mean, you have a uniform that reminds me a lot of, as the name said, British Columbia. I think almost like with the skirt. I mean, it looked like from the British Army. Am I right or wrong? There are some things that look alike. Am I right?
Oh, well, of course we do. Our military tradition all comes from, what was originally the British Empire.
Yeah.
So when you look at, if you go to Montreal, you'll see regiments like the, now it's called the Royal Highland Regiment. Originally it was the Black Watch Regiment. In Vancouver, we got the Seaforth Highlanders. There's the Sea Scots and whatnot. So you will see that. And, Canada is, as Gavin McInnes says, Canada is really Scottish, very Scottish. You see it everywhere, the influence.
I see, and I see a lot of. You're right. This it looks like almost Prince Charles when he wears his skirt. I mean, whatever is his name, Prince Charles.
It's a kilt.
Yeah, it's a kilt. Okay, skirt. I'm sorry, I'm not really used to this thing. But anyway, interesting. I really was fascinated. Anyway, you also have a background as a military guy who went overseas. You saw combat. You went to some physical pain. You were injured seriously, and you were happy and lucky to be back. We talked about that last time I had you on the show. Today I wanted to focus a little bit more about you as a Canadian citizen. First of all, how do you call yourself, guys? Are you citizen? Are you subjects to the crown? I don't know. I'm just trying to learn.
Citizen, but technically you'd be a subject, but everyone just refers themselves as citizens or. Yeah.
So technically, you still have the. I was learning because this is something new to me. I didn't know till probably a few weeks ago that the new citizens have to really. I read the oath and it was pretty interesting. If I were almost scary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you need to pledge.
I know what you're getting at right now. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to pledge allegiance to the crown, to the queen, and to all the. I thought it was just the old bag you had to do. No, also to her son, whoever's coming after her.
To her heirs and successors. Yep.
That's. Listen.
Actually, you know what? Not even most Canadians realize that because if you're born here, you don't have to. But if you're like myself, come from an immigrant family, you'd know that. But also, basically, police and military are the only other people that do that. But it's kind of funny. A lot of Canadians, if you ask them who's the head of state of their own country, they usually answer wrong. They'll say the prime minister. Nope, the crown.
Exactly. And for me, was honestly, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that in 2017 you still have to, as a military guy or as a new citizen, to pledge the oath to a royalty, and it freaks the hell out of me. I mean seriously, it's something that oh my God, and it's this serious. For me, first of all, an oath is serious thing, and more important, that's the rules. If you want to be part, they put you in the spot, and maybe hopefully many natural born citizens in Canada don't have to do that, but I think it's still scary that there is a person out there or a family who claims some sort of a god status, like that you need to bow down and think that she's some sort of a semi-god, or she has some magic power that you need to bow down to her or to her successor. That makes me very sad. This is something maybe and our founding fathers didn't put up, in America over 240 years ago, but now to see it now is very serious. But makes sense though. It makes sense because
that's the main difference is that I've noticed. I've spent a lot of time around Americans. I've been to the U.S. a couple times, but I ended up growing up around Canadians. I am one now, but have been for a long time. But I moved here. I think it was somewhere in that ballpark. And I think the main difference is if you look culturally. Apart from our funny accents and your funny accents, we're very, very similar. The big difference in why our countries aren't just one big country is you guys had a revolt when you got sick of some crap, whereas we just issued some papers saying, yeah, we're done with this. So
Yeah.
we ended up with a constitutional monarchy, whereas you guys ended up with an independent sovereign republic.
Exactly, it's very true, and this is something why I want to mark this, not because I feel joy to see my poor brothers out there that they still have to somehow listen to the old bag called the Queen. Okay, no, I feel sorry. I really, if I in my own dreams, I wish every country, every human being around the world, I don't care where you're from. We're supposed to never to bow down and pledge allegiance to a man or a woman. That's the key thing. I mean, what I want to remind to our fellow Americans here, say, look at this. Somebody before us bled and died, and say, screw you, king and all your family. We're not going to bow down. We're not going to say, God bless the Queen or God bless the king. We're going to say, God damn the king. That's my opinion, and I stand behind that. And I say, I would have been fighting and dying for that concept. That's where I'm coming from in my mindset. That's why I left Italy anyway. But regardless, what I want to say that because that's the difference. We still have here something that is called an inalienable right. When it comes down to the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the old Bill of Rights. Of course, politicians, they're trying to destroy. They try very hard, but still takes a lot of effort, especially with the Constitution, to amend that right, the Bill of Rights. Instead, in many other countries around the world, and this is not just Canada. I mean, look at Europe. Canada at least is much better than Europe. But not having a type of Bill of Rights becomes something easily to repeal, to somehow just say, now we can legislate it, we can regulate it. And specifically, this is the hour about guns, of course. And today I wanted to talk to you, to share to our fellow Americans how good we have it compared to many other parts of the world, especially even Canada, that's supposed to be our next door. And sometimes we forget that things are not that great there. So tell me something. I know you're a gun owner, and you understand the right to keep and bear arms. How bad things are right now compared to maybe a Canada of 50 years ago, even if you weren't here? How can you tell me how things are changed now for a law-abiding person?
Oh, drastically. Well, gun control in Canada starts very ironically. Around when was it that Hitler came in? That was 1933 or somewhere in that ballpark, right?
Yes.
So I think it was 1935. Germany had a gun registration program suddenly put on the books.
Yes.
When Canadians were fighting the Germans over there, we were I know definitely the only country in North America at the time, but we were one of the few Western countries that wasn't access lines that had a firearms registration program. But back then, you can chalk it up to some naivety that all it was for was handguns in cities. That was almost exclusively it. No one back then gave a damn about anything else. And then that pretty much follows that path for a long time. And then there was there's a school in Quebec. I'm going to mispronounce this. But Polytechnique sur Quebec, or whatever. It was a school in Quebec. A guy basically did what. He went in kind of like Sandy Hook. Someone went in, shot a bunch of people, and everyone said, "Oh, no, we have to do something about these dangerous weapons." And so they introduced licensing and registration, like across the board registration. So we ended up with something called the. Was it? Yeah, the FLC license.
Okay.
But that got that was basically just it was literally just a restriction saying that it turns a right into a privilege, because under the old charter that actually the current prime minister's father brought in, got rid of and replaced with what's called the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that doesn't even have the word human in it.
Wow.
I always tell this to people: read it. You can look it up on the internet. It doesn't talk about human rights. It talks about the rights of a person, the responsibilities of a person. Well, person in legalese is not necessarily a human. Wow. Whereas our old Bill of Rights was something that, if you look it up, it would seem very familiar to Americans. In my opinion, I think it would anyways. But it gave us, a lot of the similar rights that you guys still have and retain, and are very wise to not budge on one bit, including the right to bear arms. I'll show you a video sometime, actually,
Yeah.
of a Canadian RCMP officer who clearly states in about 1998, like he looks the camera right in the eye, and he was someone who works for the government. And he just said, you know, very bluntly, the day that we brought in gun registration and got rid of the right to bear arms, we were no longer citizens. That was the day that we actually became subjects.
Yeah, I tell you, I believe you completely, because I see, first of all, you know, the idea, and that's not just an idea, it's not a conspiracy, the fact that the Crown still claims ownership. And by the way, I was reading, you know, I was thinking about to start a Canadian company out there, and I was reading the restrictions. For example, in British Columbia, you must be sure you do not use any name of any royalty or any other, you know, noble or anything connected to that without the authorization. I mean, this is, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, because you're infringing upon the right of a royal member of the family. Then.
Yeah.
It's
So this is true. It's alive. I mean, not because people doesn't see anymore people with, you know, running in horses with, you know, the little pennants and the attitude of a Roman. I'm talking about the British troops bossing people around. Technically, you still have that type of connection, and that's I see how they can change quickly things. All they need to do is create a crisis or use a crisis, and you know, with the help of some politicians, they can completely remove every right that they have, like they've been trying to do here too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, let's never stop.
And
this process.
it's always been the Liberal Party that does that to us. By the way,
Yeah, you know,
just so everyone in the States there knows, it's the Liberal Party. It's like kind of like how you guys have Republicans and Democrats.
let me
We
tell
have
you.
the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, NDP, which is like communist light, and then there's of course the Libertarian Party that's rising right now.
Well, you know, the sad thing is here, unfortunately, Republicans they are not as much better than the Democrats, because everything Obama was allowed to do, you know, when it comes down to other issues, for example, you know, $20 trillion of national debt, it wasn't just the Democrat. The Republican helped him out too. So they are pretty much the top level elite of both parties. They are both horse for the New World Order and the globalists, and they play all together, you know, in the same bed. So the problem is, you know, yes, there are some Republicans that they hold the line, or some conservative maybe, but the reality is that, unfortunately, whoever gets elected, they will try to, like the mafia, or, you know, give them the offer that they cannot refuse. You know, at that point, they're going to pay them out or blackmail them, or just, you know, remind them who's boss. That's the reality, because I tell you, even here, I'm disgusted with Republicans. I am completely disgusted. Even when it comes down to the Second Amendment, you know, in our state, for example, you know, we have the state of Arizona that technically we are the number 1 state in the union. In 3 years in a row, Guns and Ammo completely said this is the best state. But think about it. We had the Governor Brewer. We were trying to pass a bill that would allow law-abiding people with a carry concealed permit to carry on campuses, and the governor was a Republican, said no, and they try again and they say no. So I don't believe anymore in this Republican Democrat stuff. Democrat is black and white. You know that 90% of them, besides exceptions, like for example, I had here my guest Ronald O'Donnell, that is a pro-gun rights Democrat. But most of them, they are just pure evil, unfortunately. Listen, talking about now for the individual, you know, like a regular person. For example, let's say at what age you can own and carry a rifle? What is the legal age for a law-abiding Canadian to own a rifle? And then we will go in what type of rifle, because every rifle is different. What is the age and what is the requirement? For example, let's start with a bolt action that normally, you know, government look at that like a slave rifle. It's just for hunting, you know, so you're okay. The king and the queen, they're not that afraid, because after all, you're going to go hunt. And with a bolt action, we are kind of safe. The elite, they're not going to get worried, because you're not going to start a revolution with a bolt action. What is the requirement for a bolt action?
You say that, but when you come up here, we'll go shooting, and I'll teach you something about in Canada. We still retain a hell of a lot of the old SMLEs, the Lee Enfields, and that's the only bolt-action rifle that's ever been mistaken for automatic fire. You can cycle that thing real fast.
Okay. You're talking about which rifle are you talking about? Excuse me,
the age.
The British gun, that 308. Not them. Help me out.
303 British.
Oh, 303 British. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That the Enfield. I have that one. Is the 10 rounds, right?
Yeah, 10-round box magazines. The magazines weren't originally meant to be used, as detachable magazines, but
Yes.
if you have a working brain, that's what you should do with them.
Yes. I used to have one. I had like excuse me, an Indian. I forgot the name. Anyway, it was an Indian version in 308. They are really fast. They cycle very fast. I like it. It's a great rifle, by the way. I never shot in 303, but I own a 308. That it was an Indian version.
It's just a slightly. It's a larger slug, but it's pretty much kicks the same, and you can expect the same kind of ballistic or similar ballistics.
It's a beautiful rifle. Don't get me wrong, I like it. But the point is, that's something in general, even in Europe, even in California, for example, that the same attitude. They're okay for now to allow peasants to have a 308. I'm not trying to talk to you down, but that's the way normally they look at things.
Oh, no, I understand exactly where you're going with it.
Like, for example, a shotgun. Even in Italy, you can have a shotgun pretty easy compared to other things. Because after all, with the shotgun, nobody won't have a revolution. You need a rifle to fight a revolution. But, there's some restrictions, but much easier. So, for example, at bolt action like the Enfield, you will be able to own it pretty easy. What is the process as a law-abiding Canadian? What is the age and what do you need to do?
I would actually have to check on this, but I'm pretty sure 16 you can get your own license. Younger than that, you have to be with a parent or an adult who has a license, and then you can be with them and use a rifle. But I'm pretty sure it's 16. And then basically to get any kind of rifle that isn't put on a special list, I'll get to in a sec. So your bolt actions, a lot of your semi-autos that are like old surplus, like SKSs and SVTs, like especially up here, we got a whole schwack of those that came over after the Cold War ended, and so all those are called non-restricted. So during the 90s, they were registered. Now there's no registry for non-restricted. Yeah, the Conservative Party, when they were in, Stephen Harper, the guy that Trudeau replaced, one of the things that was good that he did is he said, well, we don't need this. We're not worried about, law-abiding citizens here, right?
That's good.
So that got thrown out. So there's no registration on that. To get your non-restricted, you have to take a little course, to basically have, you pay way too much money to go for, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's changed a bit. When I did it, you go on 2 separate days for about an hour and a half, and the guy just, makes sure that you're not completely ignorant of like the most basic, safety rules and everything like that.
Okay.
So after you take the course, you then take a test that you also, you pay for.
Yeah.
And if you pass the test, then you submit it with an application for license to what's called a CFO. Which is a Chief Firearms Officer, which really is a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So the police up here are the ones who actually decide whether or not you are allowed to have a license.
So it's
whereas
it is a May.
Go ahead.
So it's a May issue. It's not like a shell issue. It's not like, for example, in Arizona, other states like Arizona, when we apply for a CCW, that, by the way, concealed carry permit, we don't even need because we have a constitutional carry, but still, they give us some benefits with that. They must give it to us, period, unless we have not a legal requirement. For example, if we are felons or other things like that. But beside that, it is not like an option. Because, for example, if you go to California or New York or other states like that, the chief of police or the sheriff can say, you know what, you don't need a gun, you don't need a rifle, you don't need a permit, you don't need a CCW. So, same story even with the rifle in Canada right now for a bolt action, you telling me?
Anything, it gets worse than that. If you, those crossbows or whatever? Crossbows.
Yeah.
Crossbow is considered on the same grounds as a firearm. You can have a bow and arrow without, a license or anything like that, but if you were caught with a crossbow, it's treated as if you're a gangbanger from, the downtown area with a pistol in your pants.
Oh my gosh.
Which is ridiculous. But yeah, so these CFOs, Chief Firearms Officers, they decide, and what they do, Canada is, in general, as a broad, sweeping statement, Canada is very, very liberal. And there's a lot of people up here, they know absolutely nothing about their own rights, especially what they can and can't do when it comes to firearms. I've met people before that their only experience is seeing police or hearing about bad guys or watching them on TV with them. They don't even know that they themselves can very easily go and own firearms. They have no idea, some of them.
This is part of the plan. Tyrssen, this is part of the plan. People, it's a process. It's a long-term plan, like in Europe, Look at now. I mean, you want to see how different we change, and I say we in general, a generation, from, let's say, 80, 100 years ago. Forget about in the past, but look at this now, the new humanity, the new man, even women.
Just look at the last 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, but this is part of a long-term process, starts, of course, by the, let's say, brainwashing in the public re-education camps called school system. Public schools, they're just there to indoctrinate and brainwash you. Then, of course, once you get out of there, if you don't conform, they look at you like a freak. That's pretty much what I was when I was at school. Because I tell you, according to the Italian school system, I should have been the perfect, communist, socialist, kiss-ass zombie. I'm sorry, it's true. I always was punished because I never really followed that by instinct. But I was a mistake, was a misfit. I was an accident. Because I tell you, even when I was talking about things that normally nobody told me, I understood that something was wrong. But the average kid in Europe, and of course in America too, is not just Canada. Look at now how many young people we have. They are completely clueless. It is part of their plan. They conquer the youth.
They're willfully ignorant in a lot of cases too. You can try and, it's one thing if you're ignorant of something, but if you're willfully, then you're the worst kind of human then. Because if somebody says, "Here, you're wrong in this. Let me show you how," so that you can benefit from it. But these kind of people, and the thing is, it starts with my age group. I'm 33. Between my age group and down to the people who are just becoming adults right now, the younger you go, it's the worse for it. Where, I'm not gonna. Sorry, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, but they're the only people I've ever heard of ever who ask for their rights to be taken away, who want speech to be treated like a weapon, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but exactly, and the school is the first part. Now there is a second part is they control the media, they control the entertainment. When you have the model, what is the role model now of a young man or woman? It doesn't matter if Canadian, Italian, or German. It is about just be selfish little prick that pretty much all you care about me. And hey, don't study, don't be smart.
Entitlement culture. Exactly.
Don't even worry about being involved because that's not cool. I mean, look at that rock star. All she does, she worries about next sex appointment and a haircut. And that's all you should worry too. I mean, this is being planned that too. I mean, and I'm not a moral guy. I mean, I'm not like Mr. Saint Ollie, okay? I'm a regular guy. I have a regular life with my problems and whatever. But at the same time, I understand their plan is to destroy the integrity, the values, the family, and everything they can. So at least the individual is going to be completely easier to, let's say, shape. And the way they want to shape is the perfect slave, with no values, just following the orders. And don't worry, government will take care of you. But you must first give up your rights. That's pretty much the idea. But listen, go ahead.
We used to joke around in uniform, joke around. Hey, we're here from the government. We're here to help you.
Yeah, right.
It was
run.
But
when you hear that, you start running. Okay, immediately. Don't even turn your back. Start running when you hear that word.
Hey, what's the biggest single killer of people in the 20th century?
The government. It's proven. I mean,
exactly. Democide.
Genocide.
Death by your own government.
Doesn't matter which country. It's the same. It's all pretty much proven. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about Forte. Okay, so forever bolt action.
So we touched on the non-restricted. There's still two-thirds that I have to tell you about.
Yeah, shotgun. What is shotgun? Normally, it's a shotgun or hunting tool. That's they think. I can use it for self-defense, but of course, it is not a primary gun or weapon to defend your liberty. It's more a defensive gun. Do you have any restriction of an average pump action shotgun?
Okay, on those, that falls under non-restricted as well. So basically for non-restricted, what you have is you have these magazine caps, unless, so for bolt action, it's if it's made before a certain period with, a magazine that was not meant to be detachable, i.e. that Enfield we were talking about, then the magazine cap doesn't count. But otherwise, everything in non-restricted has to have a 5-round. Doesn't matter if it's a shotgun, rifle, if it's a pistol carbine. Doesn't matter. 5 round is the cap. The only exclusion for that is 22 caliber rifles like a Ruger or something like that. Those don't matter, detachable magazine or not. There's no cap on it until a year ago. Thank you, liberals.
Wow. Let me understand.
So,
For example, the SKS, the normal, I got a few SKS. I like them. They're a great little rifle for at least the carabine style. I mean, it's an intermediate distance, but it's very good for 200-300 yards. You have
one of my favorite rifles for a little clunker.
So five rounds. It normally comes with a 10 rounds, fixed magazine clip. That's only 5 rounds you have there.
Yeah, all our magazines have to be pinned, and it's so the red tape on it's so dumb too, because it's just from wear and tear. That pin should look like it's been tampered with, or if it falls out.
Yeah.
If you're stopped for whatever reason by a constable from a police department or from the RCMP, which are actually paramilitary, then you doesn't matter what the reason is, you are responsible for it, and that's an indictable offense.
Oh my God. So that would be a felony. Indictable would be a felony? It would be something serious, like, could be a felony too?
Yeah, up here, any indictment is 2 years plus a day or more.
Oh my God.
Automatically.
Oh my God.
And that's after the sentence.
Gee. No, this is really scary.
You really got to mind your what you do up here with firearms, because they want to throw you in jail and all that. They want to punish you. But anyways, the non-restricted though, it has to do with mostly rifles and shotguns, some carbines, but because those tend to look a little quote unquote scary, those get excluded into what I'm about to tell you about. But it's basically anything over a certain length. Anything that conforms to the little guidelines that they can be semi-auto or pump or bolt, but it has to have a five round magazine, and what else? It's not supposed to have a bayonet mount, but I mean something like the SKS. I mean, you see those up here all the time where they still have those foldable bayonets still on them. I think it's because they're made before a certain year though.
I mean, like Yugoslavia, I have a couple Yugoslavian with the bayonet. So what? I mean, honestly. They're kind of funny. I mean, what do you do with a bayonet? Maybe I can put a chicken and grill it on the fire, because that's all you do with those bayonets. But my gosh, that's part of an extra layer of pain. I mean, you cannot have a bayonet on the SKS?
Yeah, no folding stocks, anything like that either. If you have an adjustable stock, it has to be a certain type. You guys have those, what are they called, bump fire stocks or whatever. They'll appear super illegal.
Wow, super illegal.
Even though it's still, you're not changing anything about the mechanism of action, to them you are replicating, fully automatic, which is completely different, but yeah.
I'm curious, all this pile of garbage, when did it really start? Just with Trudeau or before? Because it seems like pretty scary that this man did so much damage, I mean, in so little time. I mean, I think this started before. When all these restrictions started to happen exactly?
Well, Trudeau Sr., the current Prime Minister's father, he was Prime Minister in Canada, I think, from 1979 to like 1986, 87, so somewhere in that ballpark. And him, I won't talk about him too much, because that guy, like, he's an interesting character, but he is a character that is bad. And so he came in and, he didn't, for someone who really kissed the Queen's, behind there a lot, he didn't really have any respect for her either. There's a famous picture of him kind of walking behind her and embarrassed Canadians because he's making funny faces at her and stuff. But then, when it comes time to get his agenda passed through, he needs her to sign stuff. So all of a sudden he's, he's not a, what do you call it, rambunctious Quebecois. No, he's a dutiful servant of the Queen. And he comes in and he kind of started and obviously molded this, this way of changing Canadian culture that Trudeau is the current Trudeau is so intent on. But one thing he did is he didn't like firearms, and since he couldn't get a national, what happened later on, where they took away the right to bear arms. But in Quebec, he was almost like a little mini emperor. So he had their rules that still haven't changed today. Like they have their own much stricter rules as far as firearms go and whatnot.
So it's
But
like
he was the one that took away the Canadian Bill of Rights and replaced it with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms because
wow.
he was so big on human rights that the word human rights isn't even in it. It's kind of funny.
Like almost the United Nations Charter of Rights. Pretty much at the last part of the charter, they can take everything away from you. I mean, that's the bottom line. So
Yeah.
it's just an illusion. But listen, this is interesting because I tell you. I didn't know all these details about what's going on in Canada. I thought there was somehow North America, close to us enough. But this is getting like pretty much almost as bad as Europe, in my opinion. And that's a bad
Culturally and by values, Americans and Canadians are very, very almost identical.
Yeah.
But as far as the government works, you guys, you have no idea how good you have it when it comes down to how the papers go.
And that's why
don't ever let go of those.
And exactly why my point I wanted you here, because many of our friends here, they think now, hey, we can sleep pretty much, well, because Trump is at the helm. First of all, guess what? Do not trust anybody, number one. And number two, yes, President Trump, it's better than what we could have. But the idea is just still a man.
Yeah.
And there are forces behind him, or more important, against him. It's proven the enemy, the snake, is still alive. The shadow government is still alive. Obama, the rat, is still in Washington. And, of course, Hillary, she's still in the sewers under Washington, ready to come back up. I don't know how. She should be already probably gone, but maybe they have some magic on her. My point is they're not going away, these people. And their goal, their agenda, it is not even far from close. The point is what happened in Australia, what happened in England, the idea of Europe, that no citizen supposed to be armed, not even for self-defense in their home. That's their goal, and they will never stop. And I tell you, that's why we got to really always be vigilant and help each other. And hopefully, I wish we could do something here from here, but honestly, all I can do, we can learn from you and at least avoid to do the same mistakes that somehow, I don't know how, but maybe I know, the younger people who voted for these bastards, they did at your country, because this is very sad. I mean, I really feel sad,
Yep. Well, I mean, with the thing too is, up here people joke around. Like I said earlier, especially with the younger Canadians, they don't really actually realize what their own culture is and where it comes from and whatnot. They don't. When I was in school, we were still being told, we're a nation of pioneers, and explorers and warriors and whatnot, and we revered the World War II generation.
Yeah.
Whereas I was embarrassed actually watching a video that a mutual friend of ours sent me, where this very young, maybe someone just going to college, he wasn't really sure when the Second World War even happened, but they want to talk about what's Canadian and all that. Well, me saying something like we're supposed to be a nation of pioneers and whatnot. Nowadays, that's politically incorrect. We're a nation of immigrants. Well, okay, as someone who immigrated here, yeah, sure, some of us are, but not everyone. A lot of people were born here, so that doesn't apply to them. Most people who are still alive were born here, and they, why did they have to be indoctrinated like that? I have nothing good to say about that, but the culture is changing to the point where, with specifically with firearms, they don't realize what their own history was. So pioneers and explorers, we were a gun-loving nation always, as much as you guys have been. I mean, there was no, you get in trouble, call the police. It's, no, you go out to the fields while you're farming and you're armed. When you're out prospecting in the mountains of British Columbia, you were armed. You had to be, and if you're, not just, from, say bad people or whatever, but it's a lot of this country is still very empty even now. So, if there's 200 kilometers between, 180 miles or whatever, between you and nearest town, I mean, getting gored by a stag or, attacked by a bear, like that, that's the end of you. Even if you survive the actual attack, you're not going to get back there. So you want the best odds you can. So
exactly,
you have to be armed.
But this is exactly their plan. Why do you think they need, let's say, immigrants that are no immigrants? My book, they call invaders, because, for example, people like you are an immigrant. I was an immigrant. The point is, when you come here with the process, normally starts from an embassy, and there is, of course, a lot of freaking, it's not that easy. At least for America, it's not that easy at all. But when you're here with a special privilege and they get you in the special status of the chosen race or chosen group, it's just to serve their agenda. And for example, why they want those type of people? Why they want, for example, a bunch of Muslims going loose, like in Europe? Because that's exactly the the useful idiots. The useful idiots.
It has to be by design, because no person with a rational mind would think that's, let's say that there's two people who their values are the complete opposite of each other. Now you're going to lock them in a room and walk away and just expect they're going to figure out how to get along. No, that's not how it works.
Exactly.
You're going to have a clash.
But exactly what they're doing. They're trying to do this to try to, let's say you got good wine, okay? I got a good bottle of wine. And what I want to do, I'm going to start to mix down with water and crap. Okay, and the idea at the end of the day, the wine is not going to be anymore the same, like the country. If I have a country that you have most of the citizens, they have awareness of who they are, their national identity, their roots, they also their sacrifice that their forefathers did, and they won't keep their rights, they're not going to go away easy. But when you have a bunch of people coming from third world countries, then normally, you throw them a piece of bread, they're going to be happy and kiss your butt. And they don't care really about rights or no rights. All they care, come there, suck into the system. And more important, they're going to always have it better than where they were coming from. So they will use these people for their agenda. And their agenda is completely create a democracy. That is a bad word in my book, because democracy means that 51% of the idiots out there, they can be brainwashed enough or paid off with benefits or other way or rewards, and they can pretty much take away the rights of the 49%. That's why all the presidents, even in America, the last 30 years, we are a democracy. No, we're never supposed to be a democracy. At least in America, we're supposed to be a republic. That's the idea. But that's the same story that's happening to you. Now, let's talk about Trudeau and this gun part. And I was going to play a little part of his little crying baby part when it comes down to the Syrian refugee. And I'm not saying, you can cry. Every human being can cry. That's nothing bad with that, But the problem with this guy is exactly example of the emaciation of the new American man, North American man, and of course Obama was our disaster. The typical guy that, in my opinion, forget about the politics, just the way he acts. He's never supposed to represent the commander-in-chief. You could be, I don't know, the spineless in chief. And so Trudeau, crying over this freaking Syrian refugee like a little baby girl. That was just insane. But now, before I play this video, I was going to ask you a second question. AR-15, semi-automatic rifle that normally they consider assault weapon. Even now, we remove that status here. ATF removed this status, for example, on a AK-47 semi-automatic rifle or AR-15. Can you buy an AR-15 or an AK-47 semi-automatic in Canada? Okay, I got them back, line cut off. I'm talking, of course, to Tyrssen here in Canada. They're in Canada, exactly, British Columbia, Vancouver. And the question I was trying to ask him is this. Can a law-abiding person, Canadian, own an AR-15 style, a semi-automatic rifle like an AR-15 or semi-automatic like an AK-47? Tyrssen, are you there?
Yes, I am. And very, very happy you asked that question. So, an AK-47, no, you can't. The closest thing used to be, and I say used to be for a reason, but was it the CZ, no, I'm forgetting what it was called again. Those Czech rifles that operationally they're different, but they look a little bit alike. Those just went, that's a whole other discussion we should have sometime, but they went through a little gun grab that just happened that was, even by our current constitution, completely illegal. But an AR-15, yes, you can, but it's what's that term you guys have down there? Black rifle or assault rifle?
Yeah,
it's just made up classification.
Yeah,
it falls under that sort of up here in a way too. So instead of, even though operationally it's no different than some of the 22 calibers out there. Yeah. I'm not just saying that because 223 Remington, but it really is not that much different. So it looks scary. And there's people who are afraid of it because they see it in movies, and the guy pulls the trigger once and kills 20 million people, whatever. Yeah, it's so ridiculous how they view it. Anyways, it should be a non-restricted rifle, and by non-restricted, bear in mind that, if you go, if I were to take you into to a gun shop up here, we can go in, I can point at something on the wall, say, I like that, let me see it. We walk over to the cashier, I pass them my license. The example that I always use with people is when you go to buy like a bottle of booze or something like that, if you look like you're young, they're going to ask you for ID, right? So it's the same kind of thing. You just you pull out your license. They take a look at it. They don't have to call in and check it or do any paperwork, nothing like that. They just take a look at it. Looks real to them. Okay, you pass the money. They pass you the rifle. You walk out.
Okay.
Done.
Wow.
But an AR-15, because it's scary looking to liberals, it's put on a restricted list, which means you go in, you buy it, but after you've exchanged the money, it stays there. What happens next is you fill out paperwork. And every time you fill out this paperwork, the same process of screening that they had when you first got your license, you go through that all over again, where they call like your if you've got like an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend or anything like that they're aware of, they'll call them and ask them questions. And if they even say something like anything that sounds along the lines that you harassed them or whatever, well, you'll probably get your license revoked.
Wow.
Like entirely. It's ridiculous. But so let's say you get through that screening process again, then it's registered to you. So the serial number is locked to you.
Yeah.
But you still can't go and pick it up. You have to get an authorization to transport, which says that you state where you're going and what the purpose is and all that. It gets okayed, and then you go and pick it up. And you're only allowed to go from A to B, straight there, to pick up the rifle.
Let's say, for example,
and then you go straight to your house.
Oh my God! Let's say I want to go from my home to the range. Okay, today I'm gonna go with you. Let's go from the house to the range.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, say I changed my mind. Let's go to the mountain to have a little breakfast, and then we go to the range. Technically, I would be in violation. Am I right?
It's a federal offense. You'd be looking at 5 years max.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! This is unbelievable.
Yeah, and for not actually committing a crime, you didn't do anything wrong.
Jeez.
If your car breaks down, if you need to go to a gas station, if you had too much coffee and ate too many bran muffins, and you need to go to the washroom really bad, if for any reason at all, you even just happen to stumble into a police officer,
oh my gosh.
If he checks you, asks you for ID, runs your name, sees you have a firearms license, that ATT will pop up for that day on their the national database.
Yeah.
They'll see that and say, oh, well, I'm looking at the time stamp on this, and right now it says you're transporting this rifle. Well, yep. From there on, your day gets worse and worse.
Okay, let me. I want to be sure I got it right. This is for the AR-15 or like AR-15.
Anything on the restricted list. The AR-15 is put on restricted, so that's
gotcha.
That's a secondary license, and that's where we have like the registration of firearms and whatnot.
At least the infield, let's say the bolt action infield, you can still going around with that in your car. And let's say if you want to go to the mountain, have fun, no stress. I mean, at least not too much stress.
Yeah, none at all. You can take them wherever you want. You can sit in your front yard and clean them if you wanted to. You just can't shoot them like in an urban area.
I understand that part. I understand. Even here, of course, so we cannot shoot them in cities.
But anything on the restricted list, which is basically pistols and shotguns and rifles that are under a certain length or have been deemed too scary for the average gun owner have, and so they need
by the way,
more laws.
If I had to choose one long gun only between an AR-15, an Enfield 308 or 303, I would go for the 303.
AR-15. Okay. No, I'd take an AR-15 variant.
Let me tell you something though. With the 303 or the 308, the rifle, the idea of the rifle is to keep the enemy at bay, or at least not even calling it bay. Let's be straightforward. To kill your enemy at distance, okay? Let's be not politically correct. I know that the 308, I can shoot down somebody 600 yards, even behind the wall is going to go down. With a 5.56, when 200 yards, 300 yards is okay on flesh. But everything beyond that, it's still a 62 grain or 55 grain. So, as I said, as a ballistic power in the hands of a rifleman, I'm not talking about close combat situation that could be like, environment between, like you go from home to home, or let's say civil, urban environment. I'm talking about on the open field. I'm talking about being in the mountains. I'm talking about with a 303, I can knock down a bear if I have to. I can knock down a car if I have to. And a 5.56 to me, it's much less lethal. Of course, it's faster. You got more rounds, whatever. But at the end of the day, I tell you, man, thank God the politicians don't know that.
One of the neglected and forgotten about branches of the Canadian Armed Forces is the Canadian Rangers. They're the paramilitary group that is responsible for securing the have you ever heard of like the Northwest Territories or the Yukon Territory up by Alaska?
Yes, I heard those.
So they're responsible for that.
Wow.
And when you're up in the Arctic there, all of our modern kind of rifles like in Canada we don't have the M16. We have a variant of it that was designed by a Canadian. I think it's closest to the M16A2. The closest, anyways, if you were to compare it. But so the C7 is an excellent rifle. It's the backbone of the Canadian Armed Forces since its introduction in the 80s. It doesn't like extremes though, because I mean it's and when people talk about AK versus AR, this is one of the things that come up is the tolerances. It's a precision made rifle, so the tolerances are very, very tight. It's meant to be maintained. Whereas an AK, you can bury that thing in dust or in sand, and you can pick it up, use your pee to clean it out, slap a magazine in, and it will fire.
Yeah.
But the other thing is too, when you go way up somewhere very, very in the Arctic Circle, for example, they can't reliably trust their life that thing is going to fire how it should and keep operating and cycle through shot after shot after shot if they needed it to. So they just stuck with the old Enfields, and they actually only I'm just guessing, but I think it was 4 years ago, retired the SMLE. We were the last country in the world that was still using it.
Wow.
For a branch of our military force. But they also have to deal with polar bears. And the point you made there about bears, actually, or a moose or something. Yeah, you try to stop that thing with a 5.56 or 223. You're gonna have a bad day.
Exactly. My point, this is the point that their politicians, they are so brainwashed, because after all it is a semi-automatic with the appearance of a military rifle, but it's not, and it shoots a 22 caliber, a little bit overpowered cartridge. But, as I said, it's just in their mind. It's just an excuse to go down to their route and create every type of control they can. But I tell you, I didn't know about this story that wherever you go with the restricted guns, you must have this special permit, even for the day. Hey, I want to go to the range.
Yeah, it's only for that day.
That's unbelievable. Every time oh my God, like you.
You can't even take a weekend trip.
Wow.
And take it out because restricted. I mean, people do it. I'm not going to say I have on the radio, but people still do it. But you're not even allowed to fire.
Wow.
Like if you have a cabin out somewhere, like way in the middle of nowhere, you can't take anything restricted out there and play with it. Go plinking or anything like that. Like you would something non-restricted.
Wow.
You cannot fire it on your private property. You can only use it on a range.
You must be a member, of course.
And you can't.
How much costs to be a member?
Are for one day at a time, so you can't take a weekend trip anywhere. You would need, whatever it is, 2 or 3 separate applications.
My question is, for example, a range, because I know even in Europe, let's say that you somehow give you some very restriction permits you can have, and maybe you may shoot the gun, but you must go to the range. And of course, then, for example, like in Switzerland, that's somehow supposed to be a better place where the range membership for that range, the average range is like a few $1,000s. Probably the average working man cannot afford it, so he gets screwed. He can't even shoot anymore. So I wonder how much they cost.
But Switzerland, they all have them in their homes, though.
Yeah, but it's different, though. That's something when you have it because you're part of the army or whatever they call the civilian army, but it's still proper to the state.
Citizen, a militia member there.
Yeah, but when you're a citizen and you're not part of that, you still have a lot of restrictions. You still have to ask for permit. And you must comply with the rules.
Oh, yeah, okay.
For example, to go to a club, to be part and member of a club. And the word club right there already tells you that if you don't have enough money, you're not part of the club, okay? That's the story. Listen, we're almost at the end, man. This is amazing how much stuff. I want to give you the last 2 minutes. Whatever you want to say, I didn't touch. Whatever comes down to guns or freedom in Canada. You got the floor. 2 minutes.
I'll just finish off with the third part of our firearms licensing. So non-restricted, then there's the restricted, there's also prohibited. And these is where, like, you see stuff like, an old submachine gun or whatnot, in order to be considered an antique, it has to be in proper, perfect working order condition. Those are the people, there's maybe a couple dozen of them in the country that would have something like that. And we do have concealed carry, but hardly anyone gets it because it's issued to people who can prove that their life is in jeopardy. And that's it.
Wow. like in Italy, like in California.
Mostly ex-cops.
Yeah, of course. They got the semi-god status. That's fine. They can defend their family themselves, not us. Listen, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you and meet you in person one of these days. And then I will ask you more questions.
Likewise.
Of course.
Yeah, man.
And I will be in touch with you, okay? Listen, thank you very much. Don't go away. I'll talk to you 1 second after this. By the way, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Final hour is coming. The hour about love. And meanwhile, let's enjoy a little Zanna coffee. And we'll see you in a few minutes. Do not go away.
In this world, where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna coffee, straight shot espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna coffee at www.zannacoffee.com www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap, you deserve the best. Get Zanna coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. It is time. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now with Arizona Concealed Carry Permit by Zanna Enterprises LLC. Become a more responsible and educated gun owner. Carry legally concealed in 35 states. Carry permitted in restaurants where alcohol is served. Learn where and how you can legally carry a firearm in Arizona. Learn where you can use deadly force. Where can you display your gun or not for self-defense? Learn how to deal with law enforcement while carrying a firearm. Learn how to be aware of your surroundings and how to avoid a confrontation. Buy your gun without waiting for a background check. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now. Go to www.azccw.us. Go to www.azccw.us. Free for single mothers and people with disabilities. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.fm network.